Hello, students.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Afternoon,
afternoon.
ma'am. Teachers Day, ma'am. Happy
Thank you. Acha.
Happy
Today,
Teachers Day, ma'am.
oh, thank you. Today I will teach you about the larynx. The larynx, it is what is its another name, the voice box. And larynx, it comes from a Greek word that is the laryngos, and that means upper windpipe. So it is a voice box. So its main function will be to make voice or sounds. Okay. So the main function is to producing sound by, because there are two strings are present. These though they are known as vocal cord, and by the vibration of this vocal cord the sound is produced. And in human being, so it can we can speak also many things, and this vocal cord, they not only produce sounds but they also alter that the tone, the volume, like that. And the larynx, it is actually a part of the respiratory tract, so it also helps in breathing. And when we swallow, then the larynx is closed, though it is connected with the oropharynx, but the food doesn't enter into the larynx when we swallow, because that time one cartilage known as epiglottis that will close the inlet of the larynx. Even any food, if it enters into the larynx, then there is a cough reflex, and at that time the vocal folds or the vocal cords, they close the larynx, which is present in its mid part. Okay, so the vocal cord or fold, they protect the trachea to enter the food into it. So these are the main functions of the larynx. Now larynx, what is the position and extent? Now you can see that the larynx it extends, the vertebral level is from the third cervical vertebra to the sixth cervical vertebra. So up to this is the inlet of the larynx. Through that inlet of the larynx, it opens into the oropharynx. Okay, and here is the two folds are present. The upper fold is known as the vestibular fold, and the lower fold is known as the vocal fold. So they are present in the middle of the laryngeal cavity, and this is the at the level of the sixth cervical vertebra. That is the here the larynx is continuous with the trachea, isn't it? Now there are, you can see that the outer aspect of the larynx, there are cartilages are present. So these cartilages, you can feel these cartilages. So one is the thyroid cartilage. This is the epiglottic cartilage. Okay, that is situated just behind the tongue. Another is the thyroid cartilage. You can feel it, and in case of boys, you can feel that there is an protuberance there, and which is known as the Adam's apple, which is produced by the anterior aspect of the thyroid cartilage. And then below the thyroid cartilage is the cricoid cartilage. This is also cricoid cartilage, because cricoid cartilage is ring shaped. It is present both anteriorly as well as posteriorly. Also above the cricoid cartilage, there is another cartilage is present, that is the arytenoid cartilage, and two small cartilages are also present. Okay, so these are the cartilages of the larynx, and the extent is from the third cervical vertebra to sixth cervical vertebra, and above it is continuous with the oropharynx, and behind the larynx is the laryngopharynx. So oropharynx is continuous with the laryngopharynx and then to the esophagus, isn't it? And below the larynx is continuous with the trachea. Okay. Now the dimension. So if you see the larynx, so you can the dimensions of the larynx, then you can see that in female all the dimensions are less than that of in the male. So that is in adult, and you can see that in male the length and the transverse diameter are more or less same. And the anteroposterior diameter is less than the length and the transverse diameter, and the circumference is 1.36, and that is 1.36 centimeter, and it is 1 centimeter and 12 millimeter in case of female. Okay. Now, the development of the larynx. So, larynx, it is connected with the oropharynx. So, it is developed from the pharynx by a groove which appears in the floor of the pharynx, that is near the sixth arch cartilage, and that is the sixth arch, that is the laryngotracheal groove. Initially it was covered by the endothelium or endoderm, and then it is enlarged, and there is also apoptosis is also there, and that it becomes again there will be a cavity and it is enlarged in size, and then it comes out. So this is the laryngotracheal groove, and there is a tubular prolongation there. The upper part of that will form the larynx, and the lower part will form the trachea and the lung bud. And the larynx, it is connected with the foreguard, that is the oropharynx. It is connected by the laryngeal inlet. Okay, so this is the development of the larynx, and all the cartilages are developed from the sixth arch cartilage and fourth arch cartilage. Okay, so the cartilages are, there are three unpaired cartilage. They are the epiglottis, the thyroid, and the cricoid cartilage. These are the unpaired cartilage, and the paired cartilage are the two arytenoid cartilages, the two corniculate cartilages. They articulate with the apex of the arytenoid cartilage, and two cuneiform cartilages. So there are three unpaired cartilage and three paired cartilage. From where they are developing, the epiglottis, it is an elastic cartilage. It developed from the epiglottal swelling, that is the lower part of the hypobranchial eminence. So that is the epiglottal swelling. And thyroid cartilage, that is fourth arch cartilage. Thyroid cartilage develops from both the fourth arch as well as from the sixth arch. That is from the upper part of the fourth arch, and lower part of the thyroid cartilage is developed from the sixth arch. Cricoid cartilage and the other cartilage, they are developed from the sixth arch cartilage. The thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, arytenoid cartilage, they are all hyaline cartilages, whereas the epiglottis is the elastic cartilage. Corniculate and cuneiform cartilage may also be elastic or the cartilages. Now you come to the thyroid cartilage. I am going very fast because larynx is very vast, so that's why I am going very fast, and if you find any difficulty, please interrupt me. Okay. Now thyroid cartilage, it is a Greek term, and that means the shield. You can see that is the shield. Okay, so shield is the thyroid. That is the Greek word. Now the thyroid cartilage also, it looks like a shield in front of the larynx, and it has two quadrilateral lamina which are and it is deficient posteriorly. It is deficient posteriorly. It is only present on the anterior aspect and the lateral aspect, and these are the two quadrilateral lamina, and these quadrilateral lamina, they are connected with each other in the midline, and the upper border of this lamina that will form a notch, and that is known as the superior thyroid notch. Similarly, the lower border will also form a notch that is known as the inferior thyroid notch, and laterally the lamina is continuous with the superior horn, and below it is the inferior horn. Okay, and at the junction of this superior horn and the lamina, there is a tubercle that is known as the superior thyroid tubercle, and below where it is joined with the inferior horn, there is the inferior thyroid tubercle. In between these two superior and inferior thyroid tubercle, there will be an oblique line which gives attachment to many muscles, extrinsic muscles of the thyroid, that is intrinsic muscles of the what is that, of the larynx. Okay, so this is the superior thyroid notch. It is inferior thyroid notch, and you can see that the superior cornu and the upper border, they are connected with each other by a membrane. The hyoid bone and the thyroid cartilage, they are connected with each other by a membrane that is known as the thyrohyoid membrane. It is an extrinsic ligament. Okay, now this thyrohyoid membrane, its medial part is thick and it is known as median thyrohyoid ligament, and lateral part is known as the thyrohyoid membrane. And you can see there is an opening there. So through that opening, the nerves and the vessels enter. Which nerves and vessels will enter? That is the superior laryngeal vessels and the internal laryngeal nerve. They will enter inside the larynx through this opening. And on the lateral side, the greater cornu of the hyoid is connected with the superior cornu of the thyroid by a thickened part of the thyroid hyoid membrane that is known as the lateral thyroid ligament. So this is the medial thyroid ligament. This is the lateral thyroid ligament. Inside the lateral thyroid ligament, sometimes there may be a cartilage, small cartilage, elastic cartilage is present, that is known as cartilago trititia. Similarly, the lower border you can see a membrane, but that lower border will not give attachment to any membrane. What membrane you can see? That is the intrinsic membrane, not extrinsic membrane. I will come to that later. And this is the thyroid cartilage. Okay, is there any problem to understand?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now the cricoid cartilage, that is also a Greek term, that means the cricoides, and that means the signet ring. The signet ring that we know, we wear it on our finger, and there is an arch. There is a small narrow part, and there is a widened part where there is any stone or anything is there. All this is the signet ring shape. Now the cricoid cartilage is also signet ring shaped. So there is a narrow part. The narrow part is situated anteriorly, and the posterior part is wide and broad. Okay, so that is known as the lamina. And the anterior part is known as the arch of the cricoid cartilage. You have seen that the lesser horn, it is connected with the cricoid cartilage by a facet. There is a facet which articulate with the cricoid cartilage. Okay, here it is articulating with the cricoid cartilage. Similarly, here you can see that the facet for articulation for the thyroid cartilage, for the inferior horn of the thyroid cartilage. On the lamina, there are also two facets are present which are articulating with the arytenoid base of the arytenoid cartilage. And on the posterior surface of the lamina, there is a ridge. On both sides of the ridge, there are depressions where the muscles are attached. Okay, so that is the cricoid cartilage. Then come to the epiglottis. Epiglottis, it is above the glottis. Glottis means the area which is between the vocal folds. So it is above the glottis, so it is known as epiglottis. But it is leaf-shaped. Any other form, can you tell? It is a leaf-shaped process. Okay, or you can leaf-shaped. Okay. Now it has an apex. The apex of the thyroid cartilage is attached. Epiglottis is attached to the thyroid cartilage by a ligament, small ligament, that is thyroepiglottic ligament. It is attached to the inner aspect of the thyroid cartilage below the superior thyroid notch. And this is the anterior surface of the epiglottis, and this anterior surface is just behind the tongue. It is present. And on the posterior surface of the epiglottis, this is the posterior surface of the epiglottis, which is projected towards the laryngeal cavity, and in the laryngeal cavity it forms an elevation that is known as the epiglottic tubercle, and it is also attached to the hyoid cartilage by a ligament that is known as the hyoepiglottic ligament. Okay, and it forms the anterior aspect of the laryngeal inlet or anterior surface of the laryngeal inlet. So here you can see that this is the anterior surface, this is the hyoid bone, this is the hyoepiglottic ligament, this is the thyroepiglottic ligament. Now hyoepiglottic ligament is attached to the anterior surface, and it is triangular in shape, and there is a ridge-like structure on the anterior surface of the epiglottis where the base of the hyoepiglottic ligament is attached and the apex is attached to the inner aspect of the hyoid bone. And this is the laryngeal inlet. So posterior surface is towards the laryngeal inlet, and then epiglottis is also attached to the arytenoid cartilage by means of a membrane, and that membrane is known as the quadrangular membrane. The lateral aspect of the epiglottis is attached to the anterolateral surface of the arytenoid cartilage by a membrane that is known as the quadrangular membrane, and laterally that quadrangular membrane it forms a fold with the mucous membrane, and that is known as the aryepiglottic fold, which is from attached to the apex to the lateral border of the epiglottis, and in that fold there will be two more cartilages are present, that is the corniculate and the cuneiform cartilages are present. Now this epiglottis, it forms the anterior aspect of the laryngeal inlet, and that epiglottis, when we swallow any food, that epiglottis it falls backwards and it closes the larynx. So this is the inlet of the larynx. This is the posterior surface of the epiglottis. You can see the tubercle of the epiglottis, and this is tongue. It is just posterior to the tongue. The epiglottis is also connected to the tongue by a fold, that is the median glossoepiglottic fold and the lateral glossoepiglottic fold. And in between median and lateral glossoepiglottic fold, there are depressions known as vallicula. So this is the inlet of the larynx, and anteriorly it is formed by the posterior surface of the epiglottis. Laterally it is formed by the aryepiglottic membrane, aryepiglottic fold or aryepiglottic membrane or quadrangular membrane, and this is the that is the aryepiglottic fold, and posteriorly it is formed by the anterolateral surface of the that is the anterior surface of the arytenoid cartilage covered by the mucous membrane. So its anterior surface is longer, that is the laryngeal inlet anterior surface is longer than its posterior surface. Okay, and this is the epiglottis and this is the laryngeal inlet. Through the laryngeal inlet you can see the vocal fold and the vestibular fold, and during swallowing the epiglottis it falls backwards and closes the inlet of the larynx. So this is during swallowing. Okay, now you come to the arytenoid cartilage. So arytenoid cartilage, what is its shape? It is pyramidal in shape. Though it looks triangular here, but it is pyramidal in shape because it has got three surfaces. One is the medial surface, another is the anterolateral surface where there are depressions are present for the attachment of the vestibular fold and the vocal muscular. This is the depression for the vocalis muscle, this is depression for the vestibular ligament. So this is the anterolateral surface. It has a medial surface and a posterior surface behind. The posterior surface is present on the behind. It is also a Greek word. It comes from the word arytania. Arytina means ladle. This is the ladle. So it has a handle. The handle is small, that is known as the vocal process, and it looks like a ladle. Okay, this is the ladle or bowl sepet here, the anterolateral surface. It has, but it is a pyramidal shape. It has an apex. It has two processes. One is the muscular process and one is the elongated vocal process, and it has a base also. There is a base is also present in the arytenoid cartilage. There is apex, base, anterolateral surface, posterior surface and medial surface. Medial surface are covered by the mucous membrane. Okay. This is the arytenoid cartilage. Now the corniculate and cuneiform cartilage, they are small cartilages. They are present inside the aryepiglottic fold. The corniculate cartilage are articulating with the arytenoid cartilage, apex of the arytenoid cartilage, and the cuneiform cartilage, they do not articulate with anyone, but they are just present in the aryepiglottic fold. Okay, this is the aryepiglottic fold. Okay. Then the joints of the larynx. So what are the joints of the larynx? There are three joints. One is the cricothyroid. That cricoid cartilage is articulating with the thyroid cartilage. The lower lesser horn of the thyroid cartilage is articulating with the cricoid cartilage, isn't it? So that is the cricothyroid joint. It is a synovial joint. It is synovial. What subtype? It is ellipsoid joint, because here that is biaxial joint, so they can move or rotate. Okay. Similarly, the cricoid cartilage also, it is a very important joint, because by this joint the vocal cord is elongated, stretched and relaxed also. So that is the that occurs in that joint because of the movement of this joint. So that is the cricoarytenoid joint. The base of the arytenoid cartilage articulates with the posterior lamina, the upper border of the lamina of the cricoid cartilage. And another chota cartilage, that joint, it should be a small joint between the arytenoid and the corniculate cartilage. Okay. Now the cricothyroid joint. So here you can see the cricothyroid joint. This is the inferior cornu, and this is the junction of the arch and the lamina of the thyroid cartilage. So here they will articulate. There is a joint capsule and there is a synovial cavity also. So that is a synovial joint, and it is ellipsoid type. And in that joint, the thyroid cartilage, it moves, it translates. The thyroid cartilage translates anteriorly and posteriorly, and the cricoid cartilage rotates. The cricoid cartilage rotates upwards and downwards. Okay, so that is the cricothyroid joint. Then another joint is the cricoarytenoid joint. You can see that on the posterior, on the upper border of the lamina of the cricoid cartilage, the base of the arytenoid cartilage is articulating here, and there are movement of the arytenoid cartilage only, and there is both that the sliding movement is there, and also there is rotatory movement is also there. Both sliding and rotatory movement occurs in the arytenoid cartilage. Okay. Then another small joints, that is the joint between the arytenoid and corniculate. It may be synovial also, but usually they are joined by cartilage. That is a cartilaginous joint. Okay. Acha. Then the ligaments of the larynx. So what are the extrinsic ligaments of the larynx? So there are 4 extrinsic ligaments of the larynx. They are the thyrohyoid ligament. I have thyrohyoid ligament or thyrohyoid membrane. I have already told you its median part is thicker. It is attached to the upper border of the thyroid cartilage below, and above it is attached to the upper border of the hyoid bone, and also it is attached to the greater cornu of the hyoid bone. And in the thyroid cartilage, it is not only attached to the upper border of the thyroid cartilage, but also it is attached to the greater cornu of the thyroid bone, and its median part and lateral part are thicker, and that is median part is known as the median thyroid ligament, lateral part is known as the lateral thyroid ligament. And the thyroid membrane, there is an opening here. Through that opening, the blood vessels and the nerves, that is the superior laryngeal vessels and the internal laryngeal nerve, they will enter to supply the larynx. Okay, then there is no extrinsic membrane attached to the lower border. There is a cricotracheal ligament. The cricotracheal ligament connects the lower border of the cricoid cartilage to the upper border of the first tracheal cartilage. First tracheal cartilage, and this is the lower border of the cricoid cartilage. They are joined with each other by the cricotracheal ligament. Then come to the thyroepiglottic ligament. That is, the thyroid cartilage is connected with the point of the epiglottis here by this thyroepiglottic just below on the internal surface of the thyroid, just below the superior thyroid notch. Here is the hyoepiglottic ligament, that is a triangular ligament attached to the anterior surface of the thyroid cartilage and to the internal aspect of the hyoid bone. Okay. Now come to the intrinsic ligament. They are important. The intrinsic ligament are two. One is the cricothyroid ligament. What you have seen here, that is an intrinsic ligament. The whole is the intrinsic ligaments. Okay, that is the cricothyroid ligament. So this cricothyroid ligament, it is attached to the upper border of the cricoid cartilage, but above, sorry, kahan gaya? Here. So it is attached to the upper border of the cricoid cartilage, but it is a submucosal membrane. It is a submucosal membrane. That is, it is deep to the mucosa. Similarly, the another membrane, that is quadrangular membrane, that is also submucosal membrane. Now, the cricothyroid membrane or the cricothyroid ligament, that is going upwards deep to the mucosa, and its upper border is attached to the vocal ligament posteriorly, and to the thyroid cartilage near its middle. It is attached to the internal aspect of the thyroid cartilage near its just internal to its anterior border, and here it is thickened and it will form the vocal ligament. When it is covered by the mucosa, it is known as the vocal fold. It is known as the vocal fold. So this is the vocal fold, very important. That is the vocal ligament. When it is covered by the mucosa, it is known as the vocal fold. So lateral part of this cricothyroid ligament is known as the cricothyroid membrane is known as the cricothyroid ligament, and the medial part is known as the median cricothyroid ligament. That median cricothyroid ligament you can see from outer aspect, and that is pointed or narrower in its upper part, and it is wider in its lower part. Okay. And this is the vocal ligament. Now the quadrangular membrane. The quadrangular membrane, it is attached to the anterolateral surface of the what is that, arytenoid cartilage, and above it is attached to the lateral surface of the epiglottic cartilage, and their lower part is also thickened, and that will form the vestibular fold. That will form the vestibular fold. Okay, the quadrangular membrane will form the vestibular fold. So that is the vestibular ligament here, and this is the vocal ligament. This is the vestibular ligament. Okay, so quadrangular membrane, lower border is thickened to form the vestibular ligament. When it is covered by mucous membrane, it is known as the vestibular fold, and vocal ligament is formed by the upper thickened part of the cricothyroid ligament, and its thickened part will form the vocal ligament. So you can see the vocal ligament. This is the vocal ligament, and this is the vestibular vocal fold, and this is the vestibular fold. It is situated above. Okay, and between the vestibular fold there is a gap. That gap is known as the rima glottidis, and between the vocal fold there is a gap. The vestibular fold there is a gap, that is known as the rima vestibuli, and between the vocal fold there is a gap, that is known as the rima glottidis. Now, by the parallel to the vocal fold there is a muscle. Parallel to the vocal fold there is a muscle that is known as the vocalis muscle, which is very close to the on the lateral side of the vocal fold. On the outer side of the vocal fold there is a muscle. It is known as vocalis muscle. It is actually a deep part of another abductor muscle that is known as the thyroarytenoid. So vocalis is a muscle which is the deeper part of thyroarytenoid muscle, which is an abductor of the vocal cord. So okay, so that is the vocalis muscle is there on the lateral aspect. Okay, and the vocalus, it is present on the anterolateral surface of the arytenoid cartilage to the thyroid cartilage, just lateral to the vocal fold. And here you can see that is this is the vocal fold and this is the vocalis muscle or the part of the thyroarytenoid muscle. Here the vocal fold, the medial aspect, this is the lateral aspect. The medial aspect is covered by the mucous membrane. Here over the vocal fold, the mucous membrane is very close to the vocal fold, and in this region it is very tightly attached to the vocal fold, though yeah, they have seen that there is a space, there is a small space, the narrow chink space is there, and that is known as the Reinke space, REINKE apostrophe S, Reinke space. Usually this space doesn't contain any blood vessel. So when we see the vocal fold through the laryngoscope, we can see the vocal fold, and that vocal fold is very white, pearly white, because there is no blood vessels. No blood vessels are there in that region, in this space, in the Reinke space. But sometimes there will be the fluid collection, because particularly in smokers there may be edematous fluid may be accumulated there, or due to misabuse or due to misuse of the voice, sometimes there may be edematous fluid may accumulate in this space, and that is known as Reinke's edema. Reinke's edema. In that case, the vocal fold cannot vibrate normally, and there will be hoarseness of the voice. It is more common in smokers. Okay. Now you come to the cavity of the larynx. So cavity of the larynx, you can see there is the inlet of the larynx, which is formed anteriorly by the epiglottis muscle. The posterior wall is removed here to show the cavity of the larynx, and here you can see the posterior surface of the epiglottis, and you can see that the epiglottis is projecting towards the laryngeal cavity as a tubercle, that is known as the tubercle of the epiglottis. And that laryngeal cavity can be divided into three parts: the upper part, the middle part, and the lower part. So upper part, that is known as vestibule. The upper part is known as vestibule, and it extends below up to the vestibular fold, So this is known as vestibule. And the middle part is in between the vestibular fold above and the vocal fold below. In between there is a space, and that space here, the mucous membrane of that space is recessed in between the layers of the larynx. Okay, and that space is known as the ventricle or the sinus of the larynx. And that sinus, the cavity of the sinus, may extend upwards also in between the layers of the larynx, between the vestibular fold and the thyroid cartilage is here. So it may extend upwards, and that part is known as the saccule of larynx. Is it clear to you? So this is the sinus or ventricle of the larynx, and when it extends upwards, it is known as saccule of larynx. It contains usually air, and it communicates with the laryngeal cavity. Okay. So that is the saccule of larynx. And the lower part, that is below the vocal fold, that part is known as the infraglottic part. Okay, and that part is above, you can see it is elliptical, but below it is circular, and it is continuous with the cavity of the trachea. Then this is the then in the larynx is usually used during general anesthesia for endotracheal intubation. Through the laryngoscope, one can enter the endotracheal tube, which is a flexible tube, and during anesthesia the patient cannot breathe by his own. So through this laryngotracheal tube, which is attached to a ventilator, through that tube the patient can be ventilated. Okay, and through the laryngoscope, with the help of the laryngoscope, you can see the vocal fold, which which is very pearly white in color, and by the aid of this laryngoscope or bronchoscope, you can introduce that laryngo-endotracheal tube inside the larynx. Okay, so that is the endotracheal intubation. Usually it is introduced about 5 to 6 millimeter beyond the vocal fold. Okay, now what is laryngocele? Now I have told you the saccule, about the saccule, and sometimes that saccule, it is filled up with air, more air. When there is more pressure in the larynx, particularly in case of trumpet blower or in case of glass blower, so in that case there will be more air may be entered inside the saccule and it is distended. It may be internal laryngocele, it may be external laryngocele. In internal laryngocele, it remains within the limit of the thyroid cartilage, but in internal laryngocele, it will go up and it will protrude out through the thyroid membrane, and it can be seen, the swelling can be seen in front of the neck. So that is the laryngocele. Another thing is the saccular cyst, that is also present. There is a fluid collection inside the saccule, and it may occur usually due to any obstruction by the scar or by tumor, or sometimes there may be misuse of the sound, and in that case also there may be obstruction and the fluid collection occurs inside the saccule, and that is known as the saccular cyst, and it usually does not communicate with the laryngeal cavity. But here the laryngoceles, it always communicates with the laryngeal cavity. Now this is the saccular cyst. Okay, then the other anomalies of the vocal cord, the other anomalies, one is Reinke's edema that I have told you. In case of smokers, usually the chain smokers, there the Reinke space is filled up with edema, and that is known as Reinke's edema, causing hoarseness of voice. Any other things which involve the vocal cord, that will cause the vibration of the vocal cord will be impaired and there will be hoarseness of the voice. Another condition is known as the singer's nodule or clergyman's nodule. Due to excessive use of their voice, sometimes there may be nodule, there may be thickening in the vocal cord, because it occurs usually at the junction of the anterior part and the posterior part, anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3 part. So here there may be a nodule formation, that is the thickening of the nodule formation, because at that region the vocal cord, they meet, they rub with each other more frequently when we produce sound or when we sing. So at that time there is more rubbing of the vocal cord there, so that at that area there may be thickening, and that is known as the vocal cord nodule. These are all benign lesions, and that may go without, if you give the rest to the voice, then that may disappear. But if it is very enlarged, then that is a problem. Sometimes instead of nodule there may be collections of fluid, and that causing vocal cord cyst. And sometimes they may be so enlarged, or maybe they may be pedunculated also, so they are known as the polyp. In that case, when they are so much enlargement, then you have to do the surgery. Okay, so these are some anomalies of the vocal cord. So any questions are there? The next step I will take the muscles. Any questions? Any questions? Because I go so fast.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, can you please repeat cricothyroid joint? I didn't understand that.
Okay, cricothyroid joint. Okay, good. So cricothyroid joint, that is the here. This is the cricothyroid joint. Okay, so this is cricothyroid joint. So in the inferior cornu of the cricothyroid, okay, there is a facet on the inferior cornu of the cricothyroid which will articulate with another facet on the cricoid cartilage at the junction of the arch and its lamina. So on the junction of the arch and its lamina, there is a facet. Another facet is present on the inferior cornu. So they articulate with each other. And this articulation, it is a synovial type of articulation. So there is a capsular ligament is present, a cavity is present, and posteriorly the capsular ligament is slightly thickened. And there is also movement of the thyroid cartilage as well as movement of the cricoid cartilage occurs. In this joint, the thyroid cartilage, it can glides. So that is the translation of thyroid cartilage. So it glides. The thyroid cartilage, it comes forwards and backwards in this joint. Okay, so there are some muscles are there which will cause the movement at this joint, and when there is movement, the thyroid cartilage move either forwards or backwards. Similarly, during this movement, the cricoid cartilage will also rotate upwards. The arch will go upwards and downwards. Arch will go upwards and downwards. That is the rotational movement of the cricoid cartilage. So by this movement, there will be when the cricoid cartilage moves, the arytenoid cartilage will also move. So when the arytenoid cartilage moves, because this is the vocal process of the arytenoid cartilage where the vocal ligaments are attached. So when the arytenoid cartilage moves posteriorly, there will be elongation of the vocal cord or tension of the tensors. There are tensors that will cause this movement. Okay, the tensors, the vocal cord will be tense. So when we talk or speak or when we sing, so there is tension in the vocal cord. Okay, so the vocal cord is elongated and it is tensed. And when this cricoid cartilage moves forwards or downwards, then the arytenoid cartilage also come forwards and there will be relaxations of the vocal cord. Okay, so did you understand about that cricothyroid joint? It is a synovial joint, ellipsoid type. So that is a biaxial joint. So there is movement, two movements are there. One is translation movement of the thyroid cartilage and another is rotational movement of the cricoid cartilage. Any other questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, could you please repeat intrinsic ligaments?
Oh, intrinsic ligaments are two. One is the cricothyroid, that is the cricothyroid membrane. Another is the quadrangular membrane. Okay, so the cricothyroid membrane that is attached below to the cricoid cartilage and arch of the cricoid cartilage. But above, it is attached to the vocal, that is the vocal process. That is the vocal process of the arytenoid cartilage, and its anterior part is free and it is thickened and it is known as the vocal ligament, and it is attached to the internal aspect of the thyroid cartilage in its middle. Okay, so that will form the upper border is thickened, that will form the vocal fold, and its median part is also thickened, and you can see it, that is the median cricothyroid ligament. Median cricothyroid ligament it is thickened, but it has no other importance, only it is thickened. But the upper border is thickened, upper border of the cricothyroid ligament is thickened, and that will form the vocal fold, and it is also attached to the vocal, because it is attached to the vocal process. And in between two vocal ligament, there is the rima glottidis, and that rima glottidis, the space between the two vocal fold, that is known as the rima glottidis, which has intermembranous part. That is between the vocal ligament, there is a space, that is the membranous part. That is the intermembranous part or phonatory part of the glottis. Okay, rima glottidis is also known as glottis. So that is the phonatory part of the glottis. And the bony part that is between. between the medial surface of the two arytenoid cartilage, that is known as the cartilaginous or bony part of the or cartilaginous part of the glottis, or the rima, the respiratory part of the glottis. Okay, so that is the cartilaginous part, and anteriorly the rima glottidis, that is the membranous part. The membranous part is known as the phonatory part, and the posterior part, which is between the cartilage, that is known as the cartilaginous part. It is clear? Okay. Another ligament, yes, another ligament is the quadrangular ligament, that is attached also to the arytenoid cartilage, that is on the upper part, that is lateral surface, and also it is attached to the lateral side of the lateral aspect of the epiglottis. So this is the quadrangular membrane. Okay, this is the quadrangular membrane, and this quadrangular membrane, its lower part, from this arytenoid cartilage to the what is that to the thyroid cartilage just above the vocal ligament, that part is known as the vestibular ligament. So this is the vestibular ligament. Okay, this is the vestibular ligament. It has no importance, only it is the lower thickened part, and it is a vestibular ligament. Just below there is the vocal ligament. Okay, and in between vestibular ligament and the vocal ligament, that space is known as the sinus, and that mucous membrane of that sinus, that enters into the layers of the larynx and forms the saccule. On the lateral wall of the larynx, it will go upwards, and that is known as the saccule. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other things? Any other questions? So this part, what I have told you, is clear, isn't it? So next day I will take the muscles of the cartilages and the movement of the vocal folds, so all these things. Okay. Okay, then thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.